Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for another episode of Positive-Tuesday. I am so excited to have you joining me today. I love spending time with you guys. So today, what we are going to be talking about is basically the importance of being able to recognize emotions. You know, some might call it emotional awareness. Now, unfortunately, this is not a topic that is discussed in school. There's not really a place where we go to learn it. So if we're not actively being taught this somewhere, a lot of us can be grown adults who legitimately do not know anything about emotional awareness. And it is something that I would consider to be extremely important in navigating life. So, because I know that there are a lot of people who struggle with this, and I know that I most definitely did not used to have the emotional awareness, and it took me years to figure it out. And I just see really how it's drastically changed my life and my relationships with people. I really wanted to be able to unpack, well, not fully unpack, that would be a long video, guys, but to start to unpack emotional awareness. And then the following weeks after this, we're going to start discussing certain emotions, one per week, and kind of breaking them down so that people can, along with not really knowing about emotional awareness, a lot of people don't even know how to identify emotion. And I was one of them, where the only emotion I could identify was like happy, sad, mad, and excited. And so I really want to be able to start breaking that down so that we can all start just living healthier emotional lives, so that we can all just, start really shifting the world and sharing more healthily than just in the very limited ways that we might know how. So here we go, guys. I have taken a bunch of notes, so forgive me. I am going to be reading, so I'll be looking down a lot. And there was a certain website that I did pull some info from. A lot of it is my own info as well, but I will link the article in the description box below if you're curious, if you want to go and be able to read it and kind of maybe start researching a bit more for yourself. So here we go. Why is it important to be able to recognize emotion? Being in touch with our emotions is a form of self-love. To know and understand your emotions on a deep level is important to truly be able to know thyself. Because if you don't even know how you're feeling, how could you legitimately think that you know yourself? They are a part of the human experience, helping to guide us through interactions and experiences on a daily and sometimes minute-by-minute basis. They are an indicator of what's going on within situations. They can be a green light saying it's time to move forward and safe to go, or they can be a check engine light indicating that we need to stop and head to the shop for repairs. Emotional awareness is the ability to recognize and make sense of not just our own emotions, but also those of others. Emotional awareness takes time and effort to build. It's just like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. We need to consistently take ourselves to the emotional gym. Emotional awareness helps us know what we need and want or don't want, which is also very important, guys. It can help to build better relationships because being aware of our emotions can help us unpack and talk about feelings more clearly, avoid or resolve conflicts better by taking responsibility for the emotions that we choose to purchase, and to move past difficult feelings more easily. And also just really think about when you're having maybe a conversation with someone where you're trying to unpack a situation that has happened, and maybe one of you or both of you have purchased certain emotions because of that. Imagine how much easier it would be if you could also kind of understand the emotions of not only yourself, but the other person too, because then you can start to put yourself in their shoes as well, which in most cases allows us to be more compassionate, more graceful with them, more understanding. And such a huge part of that is being able to recognize the emotion in ourselves first, because if we can't understand that emotion and recognize it, how could we ever think that we're understanding fully what somebody else might be feeling? So here are a few basic things about emotions. Emotions come and go. Most of us feel many different emotions throughout the day. Some last just a few seconds. Others might linger and become a mood. So if you think about that, when you've had situations with people, typically if you allow it like a bit of time, maybe an hour, maybe a day, maybe a week, throughout that, your emotion about the situation will change. Maybe at first you're heated, you're ramped, and you're like pissed. But then as time goes, you realize, okay, like I was just really jumping in that emotion and I was being dramatic. Or maybe it allows you to see the situation fully more clearly, and you're like seeing all these small things that are starting to compile, and then you're even more upset than what you previously were. So it's important to know that just because you're feeling something this very second doesn't mean that that emotion is going to last. Sometimes it does, but sometimes it doesn't. Emotions can be mild, intense, or anywhere in between. The intensity of an emotion can depend on the situation and on the person. There are no good or bad emotions, but there are good and bad ways of expressing or acting on emotions. It is important to learn to process the emotion when you are in a safe environment at an appropriate time. For example, a child may have a temper tantrum in the middle of a store because they can't have what they want. Even though as adults it may not feel good to not be able to have what we want, it would be completely inappropriate to have a full-blown breakdown in the middle of a store. And like, trust me, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I've definitely done this. I have like a lot of food restrictions and have for sure. This is probably like 6 years ago, been at a restaurant and the only thing I could have was a bowl of fruit. And like, I did not handle that so well, okay? But the thing with that is after, it was like so embarrassing to be like, wow, I literally just had a freak out in the middle of this restaurant because I can only have fruit. I was so embarrassed. So it's important to be able to start realizing, appropriate times and places. Some emotions feel positive, like feeling happy, loving, confident, inspired, cheerful, interested, grateful, or included. Other emotions can seem more negative, like feeling angry, resentful, afraid, ashamed, guilty, sad, or worried. Both positive and negative emotions are normal. Neither of these in reality are wrong to feel. It is important to know that all feelings are important to feel. It is also important to remember that they are simply indicators that things are either going well or that certain things may need to be changed, such as putting new boundaries into place. All emotions tell us something about ourselves and our situation, but sometimes we find it hard to accept what we feel. We might judge ourselves or feel a certain way if we feel jealous, for example, but instead of thinking we shouldn't feel that way, it's better to notice how we actually feel and allow ourselves to feel it so that we can clear it. Avoiding negative feelings or pretending we don't feel the way we do can backfire. It's harder to move past difficult feelings and allow them to fade if we don't face them and try to understand why we feel that way. You don't have to dwell on your emotions or constantly talk about how you feel. Emotional awareness simply means recognizing, respecting, accepting, and releasing your feelings appropriately as they happen. Emotion is energy in motion. If we are constantly emotionally stuffing and not releasing our emotions, the energy physically gets trapped in our bodies. This trapped energy physically manifests as disease, pain, and discomfort within our bodies. So I hope that can help you start to really understand why it is so important to feel and to process and release. Because otherwise, think about the amount of this is like scientific, guys, actual physical energy that you are harnessing in your body that is actually harming and damaging you. Emotional awareness helps us to accept ourselves so that we can show up in the world as our best self. It also creates space for others to feel safe to do the same. By you showing up to do the emotional work, it will also help others to feel safe in doing so. Thus, they may find the strength to start processing and being emotionally aware. So how can you become more aware of your emotions? Start with these 3 simple steps. Number 1, make a habit of tuning into how you feel in different situations throughout the day. You might notice that you feel excited after making plans to go somewhere with a friend, or that you feel nervous before an exam. You might be relaxed when listening to music, inspired by an art exhibit, or pleased when a friend gives you a compliment. Simply notice whatever emotion you feel. Then name that emotion in your mind. It only takes a second to do this, but it's a great practice. Notice that each emotion passes and makes room for the next experience. And if you have trouble doing that, something that might even be helpful is just like noticing it and then making a quick note in your phone so that over time you can start to look back throughout your days. Oh, these are actually all the emotions I felt throughout this day, and see which ones are like the most common theme, so that you can see, am I doing things that are healthy for me, where I'm experiencing like emotions that I want to feel, or am I actually more so doing and experiencing things that are putting me in emotions that are maybe triggering to me? And that can be really helpful guide as well. So number 2, rate how strong the feeling is. After you notice and name an emotion, take it a step further. Rate how strongly you feel the emotion on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the mildest feeling and 10 being the most intense. Share your feelings with the people closest to you if it is safe to do so. This is the best way to practice putting emotions into words, a skill that helps us feel closer to those who are most important to us. Make it a daily practice to feel sharings with someone you consider to be a safe place to you. You could share something that's quite personal or something that's simply an everyday emotion. And number 3, just like anything else in life, when it comes to emotions, practice makes your emotional awareness muscle stronger. It's important to know there is no such thing as perfection, and that there is always more to learn and ways in which we can improve. Remove those who you hold on a pedestal, as this will only set you up to feel like you are failing. There is no finish line, and this is not a race. It is important to go at your own pace, as we all have different emotions and situations to unpack. Even though it may sound easy to express your emotions, it is not always, especially if this is new to you. So please, guys, give yourself grace, as this can be very uncomfortable at times. The most important thing is to love yourself through it all, and to know that you are worthy to feel and heal any of your emotions. I really, really want to repeat that. You are worthy to heal and to feel any of your emotions. Remind yourself that there are no good or bad emotions, and don't judge your feelings or yourself. Just keep noticing and naming them. And the final thing I want to add is that I know, especially for men, that emotions can be very difficult, and that they can be taught, that you cannot be a man if you have and express emotions. And I really just want to make it very clear to any men out there who might be listening that that is literally the biggest bullshit you've ever been fed, ever. And I can understand how that might be hard to hear, and you might not be at a place where you even want to accept that as a truth. But emotions are literally part of the human experience. We were designed and created to have and to feel and to share our emotions. If we weren't, we wouldn't have been given them. So please, guys, know that pretending they don't exist, it's not going to do you any good, and it does not serve you. So please just know, no matter who you are, no matter where you are, you're worthy. It's important, and you were given them for a very specific reason, to help guide you throughout life and get you, onto the path where you need to be going for your greatest and highest good. So I hope that for whoever needed to feel that today, you did. And thank you so much for spending some time with me. I'm so grateful and I just love it. Please, if you have not already, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Click the all bell button so that you can be notified anytime that I upload a video. If you liked this, please give me a little thumbs up and comment below, guys. Especially, I would love comments on any specific emotions that you would like to have unpacked that we could go through in the coming weeks, because I want to go through as many as possible so that we can all start to get a better understanding and we can grow and learn in our emotional awareness and our emotional maturity together. So I love you all so much.